Well, it's that time of year where the snow is fading away. And some of us are going on spring break. Gyi, where have you been, man?
Spring break. Family trip down to Myrtle Beach. Really nice. My kids really enjoyed the ocean. I think it's really remarkable, these kids, when they're doing like their first of everything, like first time in the ocean.
Yeah.
Magic. Did you go anywhere for spring break? Do you have spring break?
We have spring break coming up, and in what will not surprise you, I'm going down to Mass Torts Made Perfect in Las Vegas while my kids go skiing.
Nice.
So that is the life of a business owner.
Excellent.
No Myrtle Beach for me. I'll be hanging out with a bunch of lawyers on Easter. By the way, Mass Torts Made Perfect. No reason for us to have to set up on Easter Sunday. That does not win husband points with my spouse.
They heard it here first. Although they're going to hear after Mass Torts Made Perfect, as we're recording before.
That's true.
But anyway, I'll be curious to get your feedback from that show. What else are we talking about today?
So as usual, we're starting with the news, some exciting news items coming out, and then we have two super, super tactical stories. Top 5 things to get your Google business profile to stand out. Local is a big game. So we're going to talk about the top 5 things to get your Google business profile to stand out. And I will foreshadow that this is not exactly what you'll think it is, right? Those answers are not going to be exactly what you think it is. And we're also going to dig deep into the dirty, underhanded world of chat for law firms and how that has really been abused. My experience watching the abuse of chat implemented on law firm websites.
Money does what?
Money makes a world go round.
Welcome to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing, teaching you how to promote, market, and make fat stacks for your legal practice. Here on Legal Talk Network.
All right. Welcome to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. We are so glad to have you back. And if this is your first time listening, thank you for sharing a little part of your day with us. We have a great episode for you today. But first, as always, let's hit the news. Gyi, I understand there is a big merger in the works in the legal world. What's going on?
Fastcase merges with vLex to accelerate investment into legal AI. You know, AI is hot, chat's hot. Even though this isn't specific necessarily to marketing, well, maybe there's some applications, but Fastcase, I've always been a huge fan of Fastcase, huge fan of their kind of view on freeing the law and making it more accessible. And so they're going global. The vLex merger, I think it's going to be a big win for everybody who cares about accessible law and, using artificial intelligence to do legal research. And finally, maybe it breaks up what Bob Ambrogi referred to as the Wexus duopoly between Westlaw and Lexis. So exciting times.
All right. We also, in a little closer to home for you and I, the local search algo ranking factors came out from Darren Shaw. Can you tell listeners a little bit about that and why you and I are so particularly fond of this one?
Well, first, thanks originally to David Mim, who handed the torch off to Darren, I think in 2017. But thank you to Darren and White Spark. One of the premier, if you're listening to this, keep listening. But when it's done, go to check out the local search ranking factors survey. We'll provide a link. To me, it's like the preeminent resource for local. It's a bunch of some of the industry, the who's who of the local search industry, provide feedback of what they saw over the last year of what's moving the dial in local. And anyway, it's out, and you and I are both contributors. We're grateful to be very grateful and proud contributors. And go check that out. Free resource. Great job, White Spark and Darren.
Yeah, I mean, super, super valuable. And some surprises in that as well. I just got back from my trip to Atlanta with Michael Mogul. Game-changing attorney podcast turned out really, really well. Gyi, we are completely spoiled with the LHLM crew and the production work that goes into that. And I had the same experience with the group at Crisp. So check that out. We'll make sure we put a link to my episode in the show notes. And near media. What's going on with the near media study?
Another resource, we think we've talked about Near Media before, but should definitely subscribe to their email newsletter at the very least. They also do videos and whatnot. But I just saw the newsletter popped into my feed as we were getting ready to do this episode, and they're actually referencing a study by Ahrefs about does going viral help with SEO? Not really. So we'll provide a link to that. But the big story, the reason that I thought it was relevant for us, we talk about this all the time. Essentially, they analyze the Gravity payment story. The guy who gave everybody $70K and all the drama that came out from that became a huge story. Tons of links, didn't move the dial on rankings for relevant queries. And so the TLDR is and we've talked about this, but just this high DA and page authority and all these traditional metrics. It's another example of how those metrics don't actually matter when it comes to ranking in particular keyword universes, right? So anyway, I think it's really valuable for lawyers to go check that out, especially if your agency or your marketing team is jumping up and down celebrating because they got links from some major publisher site. Probably not going to do that much.
It's fascinating, right? We're going to get back. We're going to circle this back around to links later on. But, really fascinating article and not what we'd expect. I feel like the word go viral, we should have like a dog shock collar every time someone says go viral. In the same way it was, with the word synergy or the use of SEO as a verb. Please SEO my site or put some SEO on my website, right? Okay. When we come back after the break, we're going to go deep into Darren Shaw's Local Rankings Factor report. Top 5 things that Gyi and I think, not necessarily what the report thinks, but top 5 things Gyi and I think you should do to make your Google business profile stand out. And we're back. So we're going to talk about the 5 things that Gyi and I think you should do to make your Google business profile stand out. Gyi, you and I were just contributors to Darren Shaw's Local Ranking Factor. What's your number 1?
Well, we framed this as Google business profiles to stand out, and this certainly will stand out. But I think what we really mean is help you appear in local packs.
Show up.
Yeah, because some of these things do both, right? They help you show up as well as stand out. But anyway, I digress. I just wanted to clarify that. Number 1 seems like a no-brainer to me. Change your business name to include keywords. It still works.
Really? Come on. This is so 2019
still
and
works.
It still works?
It still works really, really well. And
sorry, everyone.
Google can't seem to crack this nut. But, just to be clear, what we mean is not just to change it on Google Business Profile, but to actually change the name of your firm from like Conrad Som, attorney at law, to Conrad Som, Seattle injury lawyer or something. Again, we're just talking about what we see working here. Is that good branding advice? Probably not in a lot of cases, right? Especially these businesses that change it to like law firm near me, like not great branding. In fact, that one probably won't do that much, but the keywords like the practice area specific, city area specific stuff, it unfortunately does seem to work. So come on, Google, figure it out.
Come on, Google. It's been years. You're better than this. And we can also use a DBA for this because we're giving tactical advice. You can do this as a DBA.
Yep.
So
and
you don't actually have to go and completely change your legal name.
And dear ethics people, some states allow trade names for law firms. Some states, at least last time I checked, did not. So check your state bar.
Yeah. Woohoo. And then you can just throw the words underneath your pre-existing logo so it doesn't look like you've actually made a brand change. All right. I'm so tired of doing that. All right, number 2. What's up for number 2, Gyi?
Proximity. So that's
right.
just, that's a distance is one of the big 3, relevance, distance, prominence. And, Google's tightening, they're clamping down on the distance in which they're showing businesses from either where the searcher is or what the searcher is looking for. So if you're in downtown Chicago and you search for a personal injury lawyer, they're going to show you a very small radius of law firms right around you.
And the other part to that, the other side to that proximal answer is if there are lots of other law firms around, right, it's really difficult to be more proximal to the vast majority of the population. So it does have implicit in the answer relative proximalness, Relative
Is
proximity.
that a
wow?
That's an MBA thing, I guess. They don't teach that in law
maybe.
school.
But it is a competitive thing, zero-sum game. So if you're the only one in town, Merry Christmas. If you are moving into downtown, you're moving into a world of hurt. All right.
Yep.
The next one surprises me.
Does
Number
it?
3. Well, the nuance to this was a surprise.
All right.
let's
This
go
actually,
deeper.
I believe this might have been number 1. I didn't memorize the results to the local search ranking factor survey, but I think this might be number 1 on the survey results. Primary category. Now, I think another thing just about this survey in general that you have to remember is that the contributors don't just work in legal. And so, but I will say this. If you put if you ever tried putting the wrong category in your primary category, let me promise you something. You will disappear from the relevant queries. So, if your Google business profile is personal injury attorney and you switch it to like plumber, let me tell you, you'll disappear immediately.
Bye. Or if, say, a dirty, underhanded competitor
Yeah.
switches it to plumber.
Right. So primary category matters a lot. And again, the guidance here, 2 things I think are worth noting. One is primary category, be as specific as you can. Don't opt for attorney over this more, family law attorney or personal injury attorney. And number 2 is category dilution is a myth, right? And so people used to think, oh, don't list a bunch of categories because it'll dilute your power, your ranking power for your primary category. I believe Darren was a big part of debunking that myth. So
100%. That was the last time the local search ranking factor came out. That was a big part of the conversation, as that being a myth. The other thing, let me ask this because I got this question just recently. Hey, Gyi, my practice of law doesn't really show up perfectly as a category in Google, so I'm just going to leave myself as a law firm. Should I do that?
And probably not. I believe they've gone back and forth on this, but I believe as of right now, they still allow for custom categories. The ideal is find one that matches closest. Then I would think custom category. I can't remember if they allow, this shows how old and removed I'm getting from this stuff, but I can't remember if currently at the moment of recording, because it changes so often, whether or not they allow you to use a custom category as your primary. I think they do.
So my concern here is the law firms that can't map perfectly and therefore don't map at all.
Right.
In which case you will, so in order to avoid confusion from prospective clients, I understand that. The problem is if you don't map at all, you will not confuse anybody because no one will ever see you.
You'll confuse yourself because you won't you'll be wondering why the
yes.
phone isn't ringing.
Yes. All right. Number 4. Let's go deeper on number 4 because there's a lot to this. Number 4, you replaced links. Gyi replaced links with?
I did, with services. And just to qualify that, because all my fans of meh links are going to be like, what? But, we kind of thought of this as like, what are the things you can do to your Google business profile? And links, not really to your Google business profile. And so I was swapped in, which would be close on the top 5 for me anyway, is creating services. So editing the services inside your Google business profile. This is a new-ish feature on Google business profiles, but the impact, Darren's tested this. It's funny because we were going back and forth about this. But the services inside Google business profile and having individual service pages on your website is a big factor. And they do allow custom services in there. So hit those up. Go crazy with your services.
Okay. And finally, what's number 5? Which I'm surprised we are down at number 5 on this, but go ahead. What's number 5?
Well, I didn't write this one, but it's fake reviews is what it is. But sad review, both review count and review sentiment are part of the ranking factors, part of the prominence factor. And so these firms that are, crushing the fake review game, which, I know you, Joy, and I talked about, and maybe we'll do some clips from that on LHLM, but it's a huge problem and it is really, really impactful.
Yeah, it is a huge problem. And unfortunately, if you look at any big market, you're going to see lots and lots of reviews. And I would say, in fact, to preview bringing Joy Hawkins in to talk about fake reviews, one of the things that we did ask her is, okay, in any given market, in any competitive market, should you just not bother doing reviews ethically because it's all fake? And she said, it's not that bad, but at least 1 out of the 3 is usually full of fake reviews. So reviews are important. I would not recommend doing fake reviews. I think Gyi, your ethics birdie in the ear, would not recommend doing fake reviews, but it makes it stand out. So that's the answer to the question. Now listen, Gyi, the one thing I thought you were going to give the cynical answer of the absolute best way to show up in Google Local.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What is the best way?
Well, I'm trying to be less cynical, so I was
Gyi turning down the cynicism.
It was my idea. So, but
who are you and what did you do with my friend?
Right. So local service ads, right? So if you can't do any of these things, just go buy them, right? Go buy ads.
Buy your way in.
If you can get those ads to spend, which I know is a challenge, and I think more and more we're seeing, sadly, that things like fake reviews help your local services ads show up more frequently.
All right. When we return, we get into, is your chat vendor selling leads off of your website? The answer is yes.
And now for a chat. Conrad, I am a subscriber to your blog at Mockingbird, and I noticed that you have a very interesting story to talk about chat. And we're gonna dive deep into that story, but the thing that I think about here is I think back to the ABA's legal tech report, where it showed that not a lot of people are actually using chat. I think like 80% of respondents say they don't have chat on their website. I used to be very skeptical of chat. I used to think, it cannibalized phone calls and who wants to chat, but and now and that's, by the way, our data shows that that's just not the case. I don't know if you have an opinion on that, on the cannibalization thing. But then on top of that, a lot of these chat interfaces now, they can also text. And so in terms of reducing friction for people who want to use that to contact law firms, I think chat can be a really, really effective thing. But Conrad, tell your tale.
Well, let me first. I want to hit the cannibalization question early because I think it's important. In general, implemented correctly and with a user in mind, adding chat will give people a different way to contact your firm, and that is 100% appropriate, right? And so, what you end up with is you will lose, and again, this is dependent on how the implementation goes, but you will lose some phone calls to chat, and chat actually converts at a lower rate than phone calls do. But overall, and if you handle your inbounds really, really well, overall the number of leads will increase because some people just do not want to pick up the phone and talk to you right now, and they're comfortable with chat. So I want to talk about that. And that's why we really push chat on most of our clients. I have very, very few of our clients. Gyi, I don't know if you have the same experience, but very, very few of our clients, because we're a growth-oriented marketing agency and we work with growth-oriented firm, don't have chat.
Yeah, no, I think, I don't know. I think a lot of our clients do have chat, but again, it goes to the implementation. I mean, all the primary calls to action are always phone numbers. And we've actually been using Leadferno. Shout out to Leadferno, which is provides a text interface. You could also link chat up to it, but it's more of like a call to action widget with texting. Because again, I think of chat and I'm like, well, the lines between these different ways to communicate are kind of blurring because it's like you got chat, you've got text, you've got messaging apps. Like, and to your point, it's more about the form fills. To your point, though, I think it's more about the way that it's all implemented. And my view has always been this: give people options so that they can self-select to the way that they want to communicate with you. But if you've got a modal overlay that's like blacking everything out with a live chat prompt, well, guess what? That's not what people want. So,
right.
And if you're doing that on mobile, you might get a little ding from our old friends over at Big G.
And that was one of the many reasons I am cynical when it comes to chat vendors.
But you're about to give us one more reason to be very cynical.
I'm going to go even deeper. The chat implementation that covers the phone number on a mobile device. So the only way to interact with that law firm is to chat with them, and then you pay that vendor on a per chat basis. That is disgusting, and that is just one of the many ways that chat vendors are horrible. And here's another one. So I'll tell the story. This is a true story I have with a client of ours. What we've found is one of the problems with chat is you're dealing with conversion, right? And there's a lot of data that comes out of conversion, and there's a lot of value in those conversions. And what we have found with Ngage specifically, and I'll tell you how they rolled this out. I'm going to first tell you how it works, and I will then tell you how they rolled it out, both of which are amazingly problematic. Basically, what they do is they use chat to try and ascertain whether or not that prospect is within the market of the law firm. And within the market looks like geography and practice area. Now, I asked them how this actually works, and I couldn't get any further detail. In fact, I asked 4 different people how it works at Ngage. I couldn't get any detail on how it works. But if they determine that that prospect is not within market, what they do is they will take that and I believe send it through that prospect to multiple other law firms through one of the internet brand's lead selling services. So they're monetizing and they're delivering that prospect as a lead to multiple other law firms. Now, I get what they're trying to do here because it is, you're basically trying to generate more value out of something that otherwise that you seem to see have no value. If you're going to do that, you better be really, really good at ascertaining whether or not that prospect is within market. And they're not, right? So they erroneously will take a lead and send it to 3 different law firms. And to make it even worse, they will tell the prospect, they gather that prospect's email information during the chat session. They will impersonate the law firm and say that they are from the intake department at Smith & Jones Law Firm, and they will tell that prospect that, sorry, we can't help you, but we have sent your information to 3 firms that we believe can.
So
right?
why would a law firm ever opt into this?
Ha! Oh, it's almost like you've seen my show notes. So this is like
I don't
all
get
of you
it.
are sitting
I
here
don't
listening
get
and
it.
cringing. I don't get it. So why would anyone ever do this? So this is called their Consumer Assistance Program. And in September of 2021, they sent out an email notifying their clients that they had been opted in to the Consumer Assistance Program. And I'll read this because I can't believe the hubris. To better serve our clients and your website visitors, I mean, the irony is just dripping, we will be deploying consumer assistance to all Ngage legal clients. Now, it does say, if you like additional information on this feature or if this does not seem like a good fit for your firm, please let me know. But this was just sent out in an email, a mass email. And I guarantee you that the vast majority of their clients do not know anything about the Consumer Assistance Program.
Wow.
And so it's pretty brazen. Right?
Dear
Pretty
law
brazen.
firm, we just turned you into a lead generation company. We just opened you up to a bunch of potential ethics issues. You're being impersonated. Yikes. I mean, yikes all across the board. And I'm in your good journalistic integrity, reached out to them for comment, no doubt.
I did.
How did they explain themselves?
It was really, I think here I can read this out because I've got the email, which I posted. Unfortunately, Conrad Som is completely misinformed. Ngage clients can find an accurate report of how consumer assistance works here, which is a link to the same thing that I linked to, or they can contact their Ngage account representative at any time, and we're happy to help.
So
I mean, they didn't dispute anything that I said, and I sent them the blog. So I don't know. It's pretty gross.
So whether you use this particular chat or not, and really, a couple lessons here. One is you gotta read the terms. We can debate about the effectiveness of this opt out in thing, but you got to know what your vendors are doing. especially in this context. So I don't care what chat you use. You better call your chat provider up right now or send them an email and be like, can you confirm that you're not sending contacts from my website to other lawyers? Because again, to Conrad's point, and we talked about different dimensions of this, but Conrad, I don't know how detailed you can tell the story, but for your client, we're talking about hundreds of potentially either qualified contacts and or referrals that could be made that were generated on your client's website that were then distributed to many other law firms.
Well, I think you hit on. I have a lot of problems with this, a lot of problems. But I think you hit on one that we haven't talked about yet, which is the referrals, right? So like, again, I said, I get what they're trying to do. You have a lead, you should try and get value out of that lead, even if you can't help that person. Well, you and I have talked about that over and over again.
So here's a question
right?
for you. Here's another, this wasn't clear to me. Do I get paid per lead that I refer to somebody else? Like, are they giving me a discount or a break or something?
So you no longer have to pay for that chat.
So just you,
Yay.
But isn't that true anyway? Because you would just say it's not qualified, or do they not allow you to pay for unqualifieds?
I don't know about I don't know enough about the way Ngage handles the unqualified leads. I don't know.
I can't
answer that question.
I think you can dispute because it is paper chat, I believe, but.
The paper chat model is also problematic.
I thought I saw something though. I don't know if it was on the page.
In the blog post and I didn't get anything from Ngage on this specifically, but the client did tell me that they were actually getting paid $10 for those leads. So not only were we not charged for that 22 or for the paper lead, but you also got an incentive to do it.
Yeah.
But I did not get any confirmation from. I couldn't find that anywhere in the emails.
So if you're a new lawyer or you're new to online lead generation and paper lead programs in general, do some homework, because as Conrad alluded to, there's a lot of issues with paper chat, paper lead. And in particular, in this particular case, the thing that really, there's a lot of things also that concerned me about this whole situation. But, in terms of like your law license and opening yourself up to malpractice claims, if you're in a state that's joint and several liability for referrals, and the lawyer that you don't even know you're making a referral, but technically from the consumer standpoint, not only does it look like a referral, it looks like it's coming from your firm.
You're telling the consumer that it is coming from your firm, right?
Danger.
They're doing that on your behalf.
Red alert. Adam, we need a red
that
alert
it's
sound.
Do we have a woo woo? That sound brought to you by the
It's really good.
attorneys in New York. No, but the thing that drives me, and one of the many things that drives me crazy about this is those referrals. Like, okay, so this is not a good fit for your firm, right? So let's assume that they're even accurately making that assumption.
They're not. There's
right?
no way.
They're not.
Yeah,
but,
they're not.
But they're not. So let's assume that they've met that threshold. Even then, what you want to do, and we've said this over and over again, is generate as much value from that. Send that out to your friends. Send that referral out. Build relationships.
Hire
with
another
other law
lawyer.
firms. Hire another lawyer. Realize that hey, we're getting hit up to do DUIs all the time. So maybe we hire a DUI. Do something with this. These, and this is one of the things that drives me crazy around all the time with lawyers is oh, well, these are all garbage matters. These aren't what we're looking for. Great. But you have to figure out how to extract value from that, because you're doing the really hard, expensive part of growing your law firm, and you're getting this asset that someone can leverage, right? And so you need to get yourself into that mode of actually helping people. And by doing this, they are cutting the law firms, their own clients, out of the opportunity for doing that, and that is disgusting.
So in case you missed it, don't accidentally refer leads to your competitors on your firm's letterhead.
Blinding insight brought to you by Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. Jeez.
And now we would like to issue a correction. Dear listener, here on Lunch Hour Legal Marketing, we pride ourselves with giving you tactical marketing advice you can immediately turn around and use in your law firm every episode. and reporting the cold, hard facts of the legal industry. It is with great regret that we must inform you that we have failed in this mission. Last episode, we reported that our good friend, Tim Semmelroth, usually listened to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing in the nude. We're ashamed to admit we were mistaken, and we are deeply and sincerely repentant. Tim sent us a review to set the record straight, and we would now like to read that review. It is hard to exercise while listening to this can't miss podcast. Because I frequently have to stop to write things down, bad for cardio health, but good for my firm health. By the way, my actual quote from our 2023 tech show visit was, "It was wild to listen to you with my pants on, since I listen while working out. For the record, I don't listen to any podcasts while naked." Thank you, Tim, and we are sincerely sorry.
I liked how you put one into like the creepy psychiatrist mode there with the background music.
Well, that's what I was inspired by our
Well done.
great audio engineering. Okay, folks, we're not quite there in our goal of getting to 50 ratings and reviews, although we did have an influx. Thank you those who left reviews for the show. If you haven't yet, we'd greatly appreciate you heading over to Apple Podcasts and letting us know what you think. As always, please do reach out to us on the LHLM hashtag, the YouTubes, the other tubes, and everywhere else that you can find us. Well, and with that, we are sadly out of time. Thank you again to Tim and our most recent reviewers. Thank you all for listening. And if you just accidentally landed here, like our friends who use Ngage, then please do subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcasting doohickeys. Thank you so much. For Lunch Hour Legal Marketing, Conrad and Gyi bidding you adieu.
It makes a world go round. Money makes a world go round.
Thank you for listening to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. If you'd like more information about what you heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via Apple Podcasts and RSS. Follow Legal Talk Network on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.